I like okay. So I have to figure out a way of conveying the thoughts and emotions that went through me watching this episode. Like I honestly will say, just from this episode alone, everyone, you know, I will say that I think ReZero has somehow in all the anime I've watched actually gone up to maybe third place of favorite anime of all time, maybe even second, in honest truth, just from this one episode alone. Let's talk about this, everyone. How you doing? This is another anime review. Today we're talking about ReZero episode 15. Let's get on to this, man. So, we start off where Rem is dead. We saw that from last week, and Subaru is crushed by this. He goes around seeing that everyone from the village, everyone from the grounds are all dead. Everyone's dead. And so he's determined to just keep going somehow and just find out what happened, who else died. In the process, he finds other people. He finds Ram dead. He finds another girl from the village dead. He finds a secret room inside the bookshelves of the library. And in that room is an ice hallway that actually ends up freezing everything he touches. Like he touches the door with his hand, and his fingers instantly freeze off, and he actually ends up dying just from sitting down for less than like a couple seconds. That's how whatever magic was running through this place, it was either defensive or what, has frozen him completely. And for the first time, Subaru has died right away. In the sense that now we get to see his return of where he's at, and where he is like we all predicted way after his argument with Amelia. This is actually when he went into town after he was healed up a little bit with Rem. So this is right when he's after a little bit after he was talking to him and all that. So this right here is interesting. That means that already we know that Subaru is kind of pressed for time. He has a very little amount of time to work with to try to figure out how to stop the events of what just happened the last episode. And what's even worse is that if you think about it, in general, he's always had at least a few days. This time he has like a few minutes, well, not a few minutes, but a few hours essentially before he starts going off into the actual nitty gritty of everything he has to do. Now, Subaru does not come back sane from this trip. He actually is really messed up to the point that he is bedridden. Rem has to take care of him to the point that she has to drive him around everywhere for at least a day. And on the way to actually going back to the mansion because they're thinking if he sees Amelia, he'll be happy again, they are attacked. And Rem has to stand up to fight against the cult that we saw from before, and they steal Subaru away. Now, the main leader of Subaru is not the main leader of Subaru. The main leader of the witches cult, which we find out is what they are, is this guy called Bergez, who is just a psychopath. Like, I will show you in the next image of how much of a psychopath this guy is, where he just screams out things, he punches people randomly, he's evil. But, he has Subaru, and Subaru's still basically not working. He can't, his emotions aren't working correctly. He's almost lost his mind. His mind is like essentially shattered. But according to Bell, I guess that could be just an act that Subaru's trying to, inflict on himself rather than it actually being real, which is possible. He's seen so much trauma, but it doesn't want to think anymore right now for the time being. Now, Rem does come in to attempt to save Subaru, but in the process loses to Beryl, I guess, because he is extremely powerful. Like, this is one of the scenes that I've seen that honestly I can't convey through words. Like, I figure all of you guys and girls have watched this episode, but this was so disturbing. I've seen disturbing stuff in anime before, but this was disturbing to watch, where Rem's body was essentially torn asunder. She was turned around, her neck was turned around, stretched out, her limbs were all wrapped around and contorted, and yet she still was alive for a long enough time to actually crawl to him and say, to help him free him from shackles and tell him, she loves him and to live. Now, Subaru goes back to the actual mansion, sees that everything has gone astray again. There's no stopping that. And he actually ends up meeting a very strange creature that says, "Join my daughter." And all of a sudden, Subaru there loses his head. If you could actually see in the very little corner left of his body is his head. And that's where the credits roll for this episode. Yeah, you see this giant creature, it looks like a wolf dragon maybe. You can see in the background it's huge. It kills him, and then just the credits roll as he basically withers away. Now, we would do one more turn to the past after the credits roll, and Subaru is back to a part of himself. It looks like he's holding Rem's hand, and he's like, you know what? don't worry, we'll be in this together. You know, all this. She doesn't understand fully per se what he's doing, but she's really happy because clearly now we know she does love him, and we see though his face right here is determined. He is ready to go. He is so pissed off. This is Subaru. I think we're gonna see a whole different side of Subaru for the first time, and I can't wait for episode 16. I honestly, guys and girls, this is such a great series. I cannot wait for every episode. I can't wait for the next episode. I just love this series so much. Anyways, guys and girls, I want to hear your comments below. Tell me what you thought of it. As usual, I will talk to you guys later. You know, share the video. You know, the whole nine. Bye bye, everyone.